and we've got Kathleen and Gerhard in the studio, Vital Signs Consulting, giving you the confidence to be your own personal brand, the new economy. Guys, it's really great talking with you on this, and we've explored how people can actually find what they want to be as their brand. But I guess the challenge is becoming what you want to be. Lots of us would like to be something, but we do still struggle in the pathway to get there. How does Vital Signs start breaking that down for us and make that an easier journey, as it were?
That's a really good question. I think one of the big things is authenticity. So this is a journey, and people like to be part of your journey, and they like to know what's going on in your life. So firstly, it's not something that is difficult, that involves a lot of pressure. But when we start coaching, what ultimately almost always ends up happening is people say, I've come so that we can work on this business idea. We're only going to work on this business idea, right?
Because it's nothing to do with me.
No. And of course, you know, your skills and your strengths have gotten you this far, but you've come for coaching because you need to get to the next step. And so inevitably, there are other things going on in life that are often preventing you from reaching some of your business goals. And so the journey really is about, I guess, using your own challenges as part of your own brand, and we help you to do that through social media. I mean, I know for us personally, the whole running thing is very much part of who we are now.
Yes.
And it started because what we needed was more energy to be able to do the things that we needed to fit into our week. So that's how it started. The fact that we lost weight, then started eating healthier, and found that other people were supporting our running, and we were helping other people get into it. That's already just a fantastic flow-on effect. It was never the intent.
And it was never a habit before.
Right.
You know, we were not active at all. So, you know, you if it's not a habit, you can do things that becomes a habit.
Yes.
I think sometimes we got some bad habits, but you can change it. And by discussing and talking about things, and see the results that other people are getting, it's just easier to get into that habit. And the support as well.
Yeah. It's interesting you mentioned you changed things in your life, and running was one of them. But we get told quite often that the instant you say to people, you said before, work on the business, not on me, because it can't be anything about me. But you're challenging people to change. Do you find people that are actually resistant to change, or do you think it's they don't mind changing, but they're a bit scared because they don't have the control that's going to come about with this? They may feel like, I'm not quite sure, I'm losing a little bit of... Do you think it's more that than the change itself?
I think change doesn't matter where you are. People do not like change.
Change is difficult.
Yeah, and I think
it's uncomfortable.
It is uncomfortable because you have to challenge yourself, and there's always that scale of failure. You know, that's the biggest problem, and that's why people procrastinate.
Yes.
But once you have the support of somebody to help you make the changes, and you are the person in control of the changes, it is easier. It's never, you know, if you say you will go running on Saturday 8 o'clock. You know, human nature is, I'll show you I won't.
Yes.
You know, so if you can put the other person in control in helping him make the changes, it's a different journey.
Is it one of those things, if we don't change, then tomorrow's just going to be the same as today? So we're just saying, I mean, I was working with a company one time, they were on about the good old days, and someone said, they weren't that good.
Perception.
They say, now looking back, we're going good, but when we're there, we're going, oh, no. But you find that your change that comes along, there is that challenge, but people look back. Do you think they want to hang on to the past as a safety net? Just in case Gerhard and Kathleen don't quite get me there. Because obviously it's your responsibility.
Yes.
I think it's also it's a comfort zone, and comfort zones are really comfortable, but it's not where any growth takes place. Right. And I think it's probably one of the biggest moments of confrontation for me really was when our coach we just weren't getting away. Our coach was really pushing us, and anything that we came up with as a reason why we hadn't done something, he just kind of threw back and went, it's an excuse.
Yes.
And
that can be quite frustrating.
it was very frustrating,
Yeah,
but when
sure.
we were really, really honest with ourselves and we listened to what he had to say, we realised that it was really just an excuse, because ultimately it would take sacrifice, it would be uncomfortable.
Yes.
But the change he was suggesting would lead to the breakthrough we were looking for.
Yes.
So I think if you're open to coaching, you have to learn to be very honest with yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's really challenging. I think we came into the process thinking we knew ourselves really well, and it's been a really interesting journey of self-growth, because there were a lot of things that I had to confront about myself, where I thought, well, I always thought I was this person, but I'm actually really demonstrating that I'm more like there, and I need to, to change. And change is difficult, and that's where the coaching comes in, having someone who keeps you accountable. Because life is busy. I think a lot of people are starting a business and perhaps working a full-time job, or working a part-time job. Life is busy, and you do need to make sacrifices, but having somebody who holds you accountable, and if your strategy doesn't work, will say, all right, well, that didn't work, let's look at why it didn't work and how we can change that, so that we can give you bite-sized chunks that will make it easier to succeed.
Yes.
Absolutely. That has made all the difference for us.
It's interesting when you're talking, we've talked like for you in being in business and being coached, but reflecting back on one of our conversations, Gerhard, and you worked in a company and the company engaged a coach for its employees because they recognised the company was going to grow, so it wanted the employees to grow. Do you find there's now this culture shift that if I'm coming into a company and I am actually career orientated, that getting a coach alongside me is going to actually enhance my prospects of that career growth and my enjoyment in that career?
Definitely. But the first thing that normally happens is when they suggest a coach is the ego that gets in the way.
Right.
So once you can manage your ego and say, this is not about me, it's about the company, it's about my growth, it's about the company's growth, and this person is there to help me, magic will happen. And there is people that's not coachable.
Yeah.
And it's most of the times because of ego.
Yeah.
But I can tell you one thing, having a coach and a mentor, and you feel the change in you feel more energized, you see results, it's an amazing feeling. And for us to see that in people, it makes it worthwhile struggling with that person through that stages of ego and resistance, and it makes it worthwhile.
Because people say, how are you going to do it? And I suppose one of the great things with both of you is how you're going to do it is enabled because you've been through it.
Yes.
You've been through those challenges where someone's going, that's an excuse, and you go,
Yes.
what do you mean? It's real. What do you mean it's
Absolutely.
I'm furious at you. It's same.
And it does get that emotional.
Yeah, he doesn't know what he's talking about. It can't be us. Is it because you've gone that path and you've done the hard yards, let's face it, and what impresses me is you've still got the coach who's still behind you, but you seem to be getting, and not putting ego there, but bigger and more confident and more succinct in how you're delivering and the help you're giving other people. Would you ever give up your coach?
Oh, no.
No.
I think for us the hard part is when we immigrated to Australia, we couldn't afford a coach.
Yes.
And once we got on our feet, the first thing we got is a coach.
Yeah.
And that's part of your budget.
Yeah.
And I think that was quite challenging and confronting for some of our friends, because everybody accepts that if you're a sports person, you need a good coach. Sports teams need a good coach.
Yes.
Coaching in the sporting arena makes sense to us.
Yeah.
Having a business coach doesn't make sense to a lot of people. A lot of people just sort of said to us, "Oh, it's a scam. Why are you spending all this money? You're two intelligent people. You can figure this thing out." And by joke, we tried to figure it out. But in the back of our minds, we did know that as soon as we were really serious and we had enough money saved, that was going to be our strategy.
Yes.
Because investing in yourself, you're always going to make a good investment.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Look, people have said that to me about coaching, and I reflect it this way. The first opportunity I've got in all my businesses, first thing I've always done is put in advisory boards.
Yes.
Well, they're coaches.
Yes.
You know, and if you have a look at any major company that can afford to have a real board, where it pays people,
Yes.
it has 5, 6, 7
Absolutely.
people coaching the CEO.
Different experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And no one's going to the CEO, well, what do you need a board for? You're the CEO, you should have all the answers.
Exactly.
You don't need being held accountable. Every CEO on the planet is held accountable by this board, and most CEOs love it.
Absolutely.
They love it because they go, stops me making mistakes, stops me procrastinating, makes me see things that I would have missed.
Exactly.
Because how many times do we find, and I'm sure you've found it when you're taking people on this path to be a brand, they're blinkered and they're missing the obvious.
Yeah, and you don't know what you don't know, and I think that's what's
Yes.
been so valuable having a life coach. Have you thought of this? Didn't cross our mind. Well, that has to be in place before you can take the next step. That's invaluable.
Yeah.
Really is.
Absolutely.
But I also think building your brand is that you need to know your why. You know, so many people, especially like in business as well, they don't know their why. If you ask them, so why do you want to do that? It's like the blank stare.
The way we've always done it.
You know, that's the way we've always done it. Okay, so that's where we need to start.
That's where you need to start.
Yes.
Well, we're going to come back with that. We're going to take a quick break and then we come back with a wrap up with Kathleen and Gerhard. So don't go anywhere.